Welcome to Bamford Rose, and it's forum chat time. In this week's forum chat, I pick up on a post where the main thread of the chat was talking about engine failures and they being pretty expensive to fix. And then someone piped up and said that the warranty would be the answer to these bigger problems. Well, in this week's forum chat, we discuss if that is the answer to an unfortunate failure that your Aston might incur. Now, unfortunately, in the Aston world at the moment, and I don't think this is just contained to Aston, many premium luxury brand, niche brands, low volume parts manufacturing suffers this problem. The problem is the dreaded back order. Certain parts are just not available. Now, Aston are normally pretty good about this. They do go on back order on certain parts, but within enough time they'll restock. But what they are continually on back order for, and I don't think, well, you'd have to say from the amount of time I've had certain components on back order and there being no prospect of delivering them, then it's not going to change in the short term. It might do. So this comment is valid for October 23. It might change in November. But for engines, for instance, now I've had a back ordered engine for years, okay, and the factory are not able to fulfill this. This is because they are not remanufacturing the V8 4.3, 4.7 or the DB9 6 litre V12. It's used in other things, obviously, V12 Vantage DBS. They might be remanufacturing the variable cam time 565 motor. I did try and order one about 2 months ago and couldn't, so that tells me they're not remanufacturing that either. Now, obviously, remanufacturing engines is a different gig to ordering a head gasket from someone. A head gasket supplier makes that component for many other people, whereas engine rebuilding is a bit more specialized. It's quite an industrial process. It's going to have to be a big factory that does it on a grand scale, because if you do it piecemeal, engine by engine, it's not really worth it. It's only going to make commercial sense if it's done quite large scale. Now, it should be done large scale because for the V8 and the V12, worldwide since 2004, how many cars in total have been built? You're probably knocking on the door of something like 70,000. So you've got 70,000 potential customers for a replacement engine. But for years, they've not been able to supply a replacement engine. Now, that made us kick our engine centre into life. It's been going about a good year and a half now, and we've certainly still got a backlog of engines to get through. So there is demand there to fix these engines. Now, an engine, whether it's in a Ford or any car, can go wrong. Okay, so engines going wrong in Astons is no big deal. Car engines go wrong. There are a few repeatable things why these engines go wrong. 4.7 will be big end bearings. V12 will be oil starvation because the breather circuit failed and nobody checked their oil, and the oil level was allowed to go too low, and it starves big end bearing number 6 and number 12. Catalyst ingestion, although there's lots of people that say it doesn't happen, believe me, it happens. Catalyst fail, engine ingested debris, all that ceramic nastiness fails the engine. And misfire, misfire is going to cause the catalyst to fail. So misfire, catalyst failure, oil consumption on the V12. So come back to this post saying, well, all these big problems makes me think about getting a warranty. Well, what happens? Oh, and whilst we're on the subject, gearboxes and differentials. I just had a customer, car got taken away from here because he did have a warranty to a franchise dealer. He was waiting about 8 months for a differential for his gearbox. I'm aware of a few other cars like that as well. So you could buy your car from the franchise dealer and you could have the extended warranty on it, or you could purchase your extended warranty, which, if it goes wrong, and it wasn't wear and tear, then your car, your warranty claim is going to be covered. If it's not wear and tear, then, and they probably do their best to try and say component X, Y or Z is, then you have to pay for the repair yourself. But if it was a clear breakage, then yes, it should be covered under warranty. And if a gearbox broke and you had a warranty, then that should get fixed. If an engine broke and you had a warranty, then yes, that should get fixed. But when there's no engines and no gearboxes in the network, they can't fix the problem. I'm aware of 3 customers, the names I have written down should I need to draw on them, who bought a car from a franchise dealer, and the engine was making a very untoward tapping sound. You'd have thought that tapping sound would have got found out in the prep of the car before sale, but you know, these problems are very difficult. They slip through the net. So it didn't. Said customers put dealer on record that engines are making a tapping sound. You know, we're talking 2016, 17 V8 Vantage here, not older cars. You know, very, very low mileage, under 10,000. And, oh no, all these, they sound a bit agricultural. You know, no, there's nothing wrong there. Customers who all were mechanically sympathetic bought the car here. We identified that on one it was probably tappage in, probably exhaust. On the others it was all bottom end. Got those videos, got all the communication, everything to do with those cars. Well, because the dealer has no prospect of fixing that car, because they know there are no remanufactured engines, then they've got 2 options. One, they take the car back and give them a hire car for an incredibly long time based on the fact that I've had a remanufactured engine on back order for years, or they just buy the car back off them because they know there is no way out. So in answer to this, or comment rather, on this particular forum chat, is that actually, if you are thinking about taking out an extended warranty for those big ticket items, you really need to check that those big ticket items are actually in stock, not obsolete, and not on extremely long-term back order. Else the reasons why you took that warranty policy out really don't apply. You know, based on that, we always say this: if you take the warranty policy with the inspection and the service you're going to have at the dealer, being about £2,500 a year, then take a 5-year ownership plan of 5,000 miles per year, and in that 5 years where you would have spent well over £10,000 on outright repair warranty bills, you will not spend £10,000 on outright repair bills, and you'll be able to service it an independent, get preventative maintenance done instead of allowing the cars to break down. You know, don't really pick up preventative maintenance at service, which means your ownership experience will be better, because inevitably it'll be when you're on holiday that you break down, and that preventative maintenance that could have taken place could have stopped that. Anyway, that's a different discussion. But each individual makes their own mind up whether a warranty suits them or not. You know, it's a bit of a gamble, it's a bit of an insurance policy. Some people like the warm hug that warranty gives, and that's absolutely fine. But basing your decision on, I think I need a warranty policy because these big ticket items might get me, then I would think again. Best way to avoid these big ticket items is avoid deferred maintenance. Throw fluids and lubes at these cars. Engines, you know, race cars, decent teams were changing their oil and filter after every single race. Change your gearbox oil after every single race. Now obviously equate that to road car use, and you know, we already service the car once a year, so you're not going to change the engine oil more than once a year. Gearbox oil, differential oil, no, I wouldn't put it out to 30 or 40,000 miles on the manual V8. No, I'd change it a lot sooner, especially based on time. The ZF 6-speed with Aston, that's fill for life. There's no service schedule for that. You can't even buy ZF Lifeguard 6 from a franchise dealer. Yet BMW and Range Rovers and other cars that use that same automatic gearbox change the oil much more frequently. I'd be throwing lubes and fluids at these cars, and that's how I would avoid these big ticket items. The next is, when you take it somewhere for a service, you know, a franchise dealer service is more like an MOT plus. It's not really an in-depth study about what that car's health is and what potentially might break down. So take it somewhere that does do that, and they're going to listen to the engine under various different conditions: idle, off idle, looking for misfire. So not just listening out for noises that are a bit untoward, but also checking for other things like misfire. If somewhere is doing a comprehensive check like that, then they're going to find anything early. You know, you can tell from DB9 that come here. Now we've got the dreaded DB9 tick. Now that is mainly because of oval cylinder wear and or the small M bush wearing. We know that the factory put an oil channel in the small M bush from about 2008 onwards. So you have to say, why did they do that? They must be addressing a problem. Hence, why did they change it? Now, on cars that do not have a tick, you can listen to the engine and everything's fine, but you can hear on the odd engine, okay, that's the onset of something, that's the onset of harshness, there's a little bit of a noise there. So avoiding these catastrophic failures is don't defer it, have a look, investigate it, fix it. You know, if you allow a problem to develop, it's going to get worse, then the problem's going to fail, and then when it fails, if it puts a piston out the side of the block, for instance, your block is unrecoverable. And now you'll be looking on the second-hand market for a block. If you defer oil on the DB9 diff and it starts howling, there are no diffs from the factory. Graziano aren't supplying them. You're going to have to look on the second-hand market. The second-hand market is now getting quite clever. It knows these parts are out of stock and they're extremely expensive. So now all that deferring will catch up, and it would have been much more cost effective, less headache to have just serviced the car properly. So that's the biggest way to avoid these problems. Anyway, that's enough of what I think. What do you think about a warranty and these big ticket items, and maybe some of these parts that are now becoming, you know, obsolete, and you know they're over 10 years old, so there's no obligation there to renew them. What do you think about covering those under a warranty or getting them fixed? As always, it really helps us if you can click us a like, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you on next week's forum chat.